Virtus.pro have now been eliminated in the group stage of 2 straight tournaments. IEM Katowice in Starladder I-League Star Series Season 3, the super long, annoying name. But yeah, they've lost. They've been eliminated twice now. And this is very strange, very weird, because they've been seen as one of the strongest teams in the world for a very long time. They were the best team in the world for a good portion of the uncertainty era, and they started off 2017 pretty hot. That game in second at the major, they almost won that. There was a very close game on that third map of Train. And then they won DreamHack Masters Las Vegas, which was also a pretty stacked tournament. They beat SK in the finals and Astralis in the semifinals, 2 very strong teams. So they were considered a very, very good team. So these 2 group stage eliminations in a row is pretty strange, right? So as just a way of sort of trying to get at the heart of this issue, like why is Virtus.pro solely not doing well? Why don't they have great tournament consistency? I think a lot of people would just say some sort of the normal lines is a topic frequently discussed. Like Virtus.pro, sometimes they show up, they plow, they hit that form, they dominate with the T sides, right? But sometimes that doesn't happen, and they just don't turn up. It just seems like just the inverse of the plow happens. Or I saw Thorin make this theory that like they work till they break. They have a system that they keep doing over and over, and then they it's not working and they don't know what to do, and then they have to readjust and that works. So it's just this process of doing well for a little bit or for a while, and then breaking down at a certain point, then switching up the roles and coming back again. But I thought there was this third component, this interesting component. I don't know if it's the third. It's probably there's probably many components to this. I saw people saying the thing about the car with Taz. Now he's got the car. It's he doesn't have to win anymore. But yeah, no. Another component might be their pick and ban phase, the veto process, whatever term you want to use. Because when you look at it, when you look at the tournaments just in 2017, I see quite a few instances where they don't seem to make the best out of their very good map pool. They have a lot of maps where they're really good. They are, let's just say in 2 ways. They're very good at a few maps, and they can play a lot of maps. So they have the strongest, like when Dust 2 got removed, people were saying that Virtus.pro were going to be unbeatable because that was their permaban at the time. They have a very good map pool. It's almost just the way Valve took out Dust 2, even made it artificially stronger, just made it stronger. So there's this great pick and ban, great map pool, but the pick and ban phase still seems a little wonky at times. So I'll just go through that in this video. Some of these instances where they don't seem to be picking and banning or vetoing to their maximum potential. So to just get at this topic, just to give context, I thought I'd just talk about their maps from like a 1 to 7 perspective, like what's their best map to their worst map, just to sort of give you an idea of what they're doing in their pick and ban phase. Now, their best map probably would be Nuke. They were probably considered, and still probably should be considered, the best Nuke team in the world, even though they lost their last 2 games. They've only lost 4 games of the reworked Nuke ever, and that's a map they like to play. They lost to Gambit early on at E-League Season 1. They lost to SK at ESL 1 Cologne 2016. And they lost their most recent 2 games on Nuke to Heroic and NIP, right? That's a very surprising loss to NIP. So it's probably still should be their best map, but they've faltered on it recently. They've lost those last 2 games, but they won a lot of games in the middle. They seemed unbeatable on that map, but they were unbeaten in this middle period for almost the entirety of the uncertainty era. They were unbeaten on Nuke, so that has to be their highest priority map. Now, Cobblestone and Train are also very high up there. They're considered the best Cobblestone team in the world for a good portion of time. One of the best Train teams in the world. They could never beat SK when they were still very good on Train with FNX, and then Astralis sort of took over and became the best Train team in the world. Virtus.pro was always very, very good on that map. A very good record. They went 1-1 with Astralis even on Train. They lost at E-League, but they won in dominant fashion at DreamHack Masters Las Vegas on train. So they're a very good train team. Cobblestone, they've lost 3 of the last 4 games on the Cobblestone, but they have an amazing record on Cobblestone. Yeah, they lost recently to not Fnatic, North, Gambit, and SK in the finals of DreamHack Masters Las Vegas. Yeah, so those are the 3 losses, but they have so many great wins versus a lot of the best teams in the world on Cobblestone. It's a very strong map for them. Now, if we go a little deeper down, I think Overpass and Mirage are the next to talk about. Their record of Mirage is way better than Overpass, but when you consider the strength of VP's opponents on Overpass, like, it's not that bad. They haven't won all 4 of their games, I guess, in 2017 on Overpass. They lost their 2 games to Astralis, who's the best team in the world on Overpass. And it was close, too. It was 16-14 at the major. You know, Zipnix had that famous clutch, and a lot of people like to complain and say VP should have won that map, that 1 HP clutch by Zipnix. But, you know, at Masters Malama, not Masters Malama, Masters Las Vegas, it was not as close. I think Astralis won 16-9. So that is more dominating, or more. It's a much safer result, I guess. So VP is still a pretty strong team in the world. Their wins on Overpass, I think, are versus North. This was in the E-League Major quarterfinals. They won North map pick, which was Overpass, and they also beat Epsilon on Overpass, which is that was a WSG, which is a pretty weak tournament, a pretty weak field of that tournament, but, you know, it's still a win, I guess. But yeah, so it's 2-2 on that map. Now Mirage, they have a much better record. They beat teams like Cloud9, SK, Mousesports, Fnatic, a lot of teams from WSG too, but they've lost two Mirage games. Yeah, 2 Mirage games. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. 2 Mirage games to MVP. No. They only lost the 1 Mirage game. They got crushed by SK 16-2, and they won their other Mirage game at this tournament versus MVP. So MVP Project, right? The Korean team. So still a pretty good record of Mirage, but they have had some losses recently as well. They actually lost to Kingwin, I believe. Yeah, they lost to Kingwin at WSG on Mirage, I believe. Let me scroll down because I have it on here. Yeah, they lost to Mirage versus Kingwin. So that's weird. They also lost some, like, a lot of games on Mirage during the Uncertainty era. It wasn't a great map for them. It's just sort of more recently they seem to be better on Mirage, and Mirage seems to be picked more often in this sort of 2017 era of play more. Yeah, they lost to VG Cyberzen at Star Ladder I-League Star Series Season 2, the last super annoying name tournament. So, yeah, that wasn't great for them during the Uncertainty era. They also lost to Fnatic and Dignitas at Epicenter, so not super great on it, but recently they have a good record. I'm not sure it's the strongest map. It doesn't seem like in the pick band they prioritize it at all. But, you know, they have it's pretty good for them. I would say it's on level of Overpass despite the discrepancy in record, just because the quality of wins on Mirage for VP hasn't been great, even though they have the really good record. Now the last map, their 6th best map that they're willing to play would be Inferno. They're now 1-1 because they most recently lost to Fnatic on Inferno. Is that correct? Yeah, Fnatic on Inferno. They got crushed again 16-2. That was weird. That was another 16-2, right? Let me look at it again. Yeah, 16-2. That's so crazy. But yeah, they lost to Fnatic, but they also Virtus.pro also played the map one more time versus SK, and they won 16-14. That was in the group stage of IEM Katowice. So yeah, not a map they play a lot. They won one of their 2 games. They got crushed really bad, and the other one wasn't super convincing. SK's still sort of an unknown. A lot of people are unknowns on the strength of their Inferno still. We're still getting used to that and trying to understand who's good and who's not, because it's sort of hard to give context when it's just a new map and not a lot of people have played it yet. But the last map, Cash, they just don't play it anymore. We can talk about Cash in some of the early tournaments in 2017. But yeah, it's now their permaban. A lot of people thought maybe with Dust 2 removed that Virtus.pro was going to pick like all all 7 maps. Yeah, like they wouldn't have the 6 map pool like most people do, where they practice 6 and permaban 7, but they'd actually play all 7, just permaban the other team's best maps, which didn't come into fruition. They just decided to permaban cache. Okay, so let's talk about these actual pick and ban phase issues. So the first one is the one I alluded to before, when they lost to Kinguin in the WSG semifinals. So I'll read out the bans and picks, right? So Kinguin first removed Nuke, Virtus.pro banned Cache, Kinguin picked Dust2, Virtus.pro picked Mirage, Kinguin removed Train, Virtus.pro removed Overpass, and Cobblestone was left over. Now that Cobblestone's really good, but the thing with this cache ban for Virtus.pro is this is not when Virtus.pro was banning cache. This is when their permanent ban was Dust2. Now, Kinguin also was banning Dust2 in their group stage matches for WESG. They were banning Dust2 a lot, so maybe Virtus.pro is like, well, if we they're not going to pick Dust2. But you got to think as an underdog, as a heavy underdog, Kinguin is maybe good. Have more of a chance on a map they both don't play. It's sort of an unknown than sort of a map. What else could they have picked? They could have picked, I guess, Overpass, Train, or Mirage, right? Yeah, I would have favored Virtus.pro more on those maps. So I think Dust2 was a good pick by Kinguin, and they won that. And then Virtus.pro picked Mirage, and Kinguin won that as well. Now it's a regional rival. They're both Polish, so it's sort of maybe a little weird in that respect. But yeah, it's sort of surprising. The Virtus.pro picked Mirage. Also, I think a map that Kinguin was sort of avoiding in the group stage, if I remember correctly. So yeah, this is, I think, an example of Virtus.pro trying to play on the other team's weaknesses too much and sort of opening themselves up to a vulnerability, which is going to be like a theme in the next couple pick and bans that we see. So this was an issue. I mean, why not pick? Well, Kinguin banned Nuke, so that's their first priority. Now go to their second priority. Go to Train versus Kinguin, or go to Cobblestone. Just go get Cobblestone right away. You're the best team in the world on Cobblestone. Pick Cobblestone there instead of trying to pick a map they don't play that you've been iffy on almost, right? With some of these losses on Mirage, even though it's been a traditional VP map, yeah, some sort of weird losses on Mirage. So that's and they lost again in a sort of versus an underwhelming way versus an underwhelming team on Mirage there. So that's sort of case in point on that one. So yeah, pick Cobblestone there. And then, if they ban Train, you can ban Mirage and play Overpass. I mean, Overpass isn't a map they play that much, but they seem more adept. Or, well, I say it's a toss-up between Overpass and Mirage for them. So maybe Mirage wouldn't be a bad third pick. But yeah, that picking Mirage first there in their very first pick seems it seems suboptimal, right? Seems a little they're trying to play on their other team's weaknesses too much, and they got hurt by that. They lost Dust2 and Mirage, and then went out early in that tournament. Well, they played the third place map and third place match, and then won that. But yeah, that was sort of a very disappointing loss. Okay, so the next tournament would be the E-League Major, and in the very first round they play Optic. Now, Optic was very strong going into the Major. Now, we obviously know that they didn't do well at the Major, but going in, they had the first place at E-League Season 2 and the second place at ECS Season 2. So they're a very strong team, had a lot of good picks at that time. Good on Train, good on Overpass, and good on Cobblestone. Those were sort of the three best maps for them. But let's look at the pick and ban phase. So Virtus.pro first removed Overpass, Optic removed Nuke, Virtus.pro removed Train, Optic removed Mirage. That's their permaban. Virtus.pro removed Dust2, Virtus.pro's permaban, and Cobblestone and Cache are left. And this is a randomizer of the Major. Now, Virtus.pro removed Train here. So that's super weird, right? Because they're like the second best Train team in the world, maybe the third best Train team in the world. With SK, with Fox sort of still in the mix, I guess. No, actually, Virtus.pro beat SK with Fox on Train, I believe, in the Major semifinals. So that doesn't definitively make them better, but yeah, no, they're a very good team on Train. It only seems like Astralis was the only team that seems to be able to compete with them on that right now. So it's sort of weird that they're going away from Train. But anyway, yeah, they removed Train and actually decided to go with Cache. Now, Cache is the map they banned first versus Kingwin, and now that they currently perma-banned. But there's this weird. I think Virtus.pro must have practiced cash going into this tournament or something, because you'll see in the North match there's a weird thing with cash. But right, Virtus.pro could have just had banned cash in that second ban. Then it's left over with Cobblestone and Train. Now, Optic are good Train and Cobblestone teams. Cobblestone, I would say Train is Optic's third best map, or was their third best map at the time. Cobblestone was their second, and Overpass was their first, so it makes sense for Virtus.pro to remove Overpass first. But, I mean, if you think you're the better team and you're going to play them on one of your good maps and you believe you're better, why not, like, if you're the best Cobblestone team in the world, which they seemed to be at the time, they should be willing to face them on Cobblestone, and they did. So why isn't that logic applied to Train as well? Why don't they want to prove that they're the better Train team as well? And this is sort of Train, I don't think was as strong for Optic. This was the map that they always lost. They lost both times versus Astralis when they played them in those two finals. Now they split with Overpass, and they could actually win Cobblestone. This is why Astralis. Well, they changed the perm ban to Cobblestone, but yeah, they banned it later in that second series. They banned Cobblestone versus Optic. So yeah, it seems a little weird that Virtus.pro tries to play cash there and have cash still in the mix. Now, Optic wasn't a super great cash team. They had a win versus FaZe at ECS Season 2 on cash, win versus Cloud9 at ECS Season 2, win versus Mouse Sports at E-League Season 2 in that quarterfinals match. But they lost to Fnatic at E-League Season 2 in the group stage, and this was Fnatic with Jumpy. They lost 17-19, and they also lost to Mouse Sports at ESL Pro League Season 4. So this is going back a good bit. But, Optic don't play cash often. I would say that would be their sixth best map. Fifth best map. Right. I would say fifth best map. Nuke would be their sixth best map, and then the Permanent Mirage would be their seventh best map at that time before Stanislaus switched over. So I think that's another instance of Virtus.pro trying to play on a team's quote-unquote weakness. But they're also sort of playing a map which is weaker, so they're sort of both entering sort of a weaker map. And Virtus.pro, I don't know why they just don't dominate with their good maps. They want to be slightly better with these sort of lower tier maps for them. And you've seen that in both series so far. And you'll see this again at the E-League Major Quarterfinals versus North. Now, this is sort of their very strange, very questionable series for them with their map picks in a best of three. I think everything else I'm going to talk about is a best of one. So first, North removed Train, Virtus.pro removed Dust 2, North picked Overpass, Virtus.pro picked Cash. That Cash pick's coming back again. Virtus.pro removed Mirage, Cobblestone was left over. Now, Virtus.pro never got to play Cash at this tournament because, the randomizer went to Cobblestone versus Optic, and Optic lost that one. It was a 16-13 game to Virtus.pro. But yeah, there seems to be no indication that Cash was a good thing for Virtus.pro, so it's strange that Virtus.pro just doesn't pick Nuke. If they're the best nuke team in the world, they've never been beaten on Nuke. Go to Nuke. It's sort of this strange thing where they want to play on weaknesses and sort of enter like a lower map in their pool to do that. It's the same thing again. They could have They could have picked Cobblestone there, played that second. I guess you might have ended up on Cash later, Cash or Mirage. But yeah, it seems strange that they prioritize Cash there. MSL obviously says he doesn't like Cash. That's a famous thing, but it's another thing where they're sort of entering a weak map to face an opponent on a map they think is weak. Now, yeah, I'd say a Nuke pick by there would be right there instead of Cash would be better. Now, Virtus.pro actually won North's pick of Overpass, like I said before, and lost their pick of Cash. Now, all they have to do, if they just pick Cobblestone, then the series is over. Now they sort of let it into a 3-game series by losing Cash there. And you remember Magic's Boy, I think, had like 38 kills in that Cobblestone game and almost took North over the top versus Virtus.pro in that matchup. So this is a very dangerous, they can have very easily lost this. In the last two matchups versus Optic and North, they weren't really punished for this pick and ban. They still won both matches. But yeah, you see this cash pick in both of these E-League matches. Seems very strange. Seems very suboptimal. I have to think that Virtus.pro in their minds going into that tournament thought that cash was better for them than they thought than it actually was. I should say it was better. They thought it was better than it actually was. Something with maybe practice led them askew. So that was a problem. But this trend of them trying to pick teams' weaknesses seems to actually go away in their next sort of fumble at DreamHack Masters Las Vegas. Now at DreamHack Masters Las Vegas, they go into a game versus Gambit. Now Gambit won DreamHack Winter 2016 with they won it with more than 4 Cobblestone wins, but they won Cobblestone 4 times at that tournament, and then beat North with Verbena still at the E-League Major on Cobblestone as well. So they're 5-0 on Cobblestone, and Virtus.pro actually played Gambit at the E-League Major in the second round of, I believe it was the second round of the Swiss, might have been the third. And they actually had a scenario where I'm not going to go through all the picks, but they had a scenario where it got left up to Train and Cobblestone, and the randomizer went to Train, and Virtus.pro won Train. Now, the same sort of scenario plays out at DreamHack Masters Las Vegas, where they're playing each other, and the pick and ban goes, the final decision is to Cobblestone and Train, and Virtus.pro doesn't pick Gambit's weaker map of Train, and actually decides to go to Cobblestone and play Gambit on Cobblestone. They lost that match versus Gambit. Gambit sort of cemented their place as sort of like the number one team in the world. Everyone thought Virtus.pro was the number one team in the world at that time on Cobblestone. So this is a sort of a strange pick. Now they're still going to my strategy that I'm saying now. If they're really good at a map and they think they're better than the other team, they should play it. But here's the thing. Train was also available. Virtus.pro are also very, very good on Train. I would say I put it as I did before with the tiers. Nuke's number 1, then you go to Cobblestone Train, then you go to Mirage Overpass, and then Inferno's you don't want to pick Inferno, you don't play it much, and then Cash is your permaban. Why you would not just pick Train, which is just equally good. Maybe you're slightly weaker on Train because of the Astralis thing, but this is not Astralis, right? Gambit is not Astralis on Train. Pick Train there. I know that's so strange. And it ended up actually biting them here. Now, Virtus.pro still won the tournament in the long run, but they actually lost this best of 1 to Gambit. Now, I won't go into any of the IEM Katowice results because I don't think any of those were particularly bad. I looked at the pick ban, I thought, or the veto phase, because it's just, there's no pick. Well, I guess there's a final pick, but there's not alternation between picks and bans. I guess it's just more vetoes. But I didn't see any problems there. I think Virtus.pro was just losing on their best maps to teams. They lost to Heroic on Nuke and North on Cobblestone. What was their third loss? I can't remember at the moment. I can't remember at the moment. But they was it to Cloud9 on something? It's no, I think that was SK that lost to Cloud. I have to look it up. I have to look up the third loss. But anyway, I don't think any of those had to do with their pick and ban phase. I looked at those earlier, and I didn't see any issues there. Now, this most recent tournament, the tournament that's still going on, Star Ladder Star Series Season 3, I noticed in their game versus Fnatic, they had a really weird pick and ban phase again, and I'll go through that right now. So Fnatic removed Nuke, Virtus.pro removed Cash, Fnatic removed Mirage, Virtus.pro removed Train. This is Virtus.pro removing Train. Fnatic removed Cobblestone. Virtus.pro removed Overpass. Inferno's left over. Now, Virtus.pro here removed Overpass and Train. Now, in my tier list, I put Train way above their Inferno, and I also put Overpass over their Inferno. Now, Virtus.pro doesn't seem to want to pick Overpass. It usually gets picked into them. But, they have some decent results on Overpass. They almost beat the number 1 team in the world on Overpass, Astralis, at the E-League Major. I think that's more reasonable than banning then playing, then going to Inferno. They had the choice, right, because they had the last band to go to either Overfast and Inferno. Inferno, they've only played once. It was a 16-14 to SK. So I don't. Maybe this is again practice, but this is very strange. It seems a lot of people will say this is just a loss of confidence. Like why remove Train versus Fnatic? That's just sort of, I guess, these recently 16-2 big losses to teams just sort of getting into their heads. They're a very good Train team. Just they didn't play Train at Starlight. They didn't get like wrecked by anyone and sort of shown up and sort of as a rethink their Train. Now their nuke they got crushed by, I should say, NIP, and then SK beat them on Mirage, so I understand why you'd want to avoid those. What was the score? Yeah, the score line on Nuke was 16-5, so that's pretty bad too. It's not a 16-2, but it's still really bad. But yeah, this decision to remove Train is very odd to me. Yeah, Cash makes sense. Removing Cash first, that's their program. That's fine. Yeah, removing Train and Overpass. Yeah, I put them both above Inferno. That just seems like a lack of confidence. So in the Gambit thing, and maybe too much confidence. Like we're the best team in the world on Cobblestone. We're gonna play you there instead of Train, where we know we can beat you. We beat you in the past. And then this most recent one just seems no confidence at all. It seems like they just don't want to. They just want to do something different or something. They don't seem confident on their old maps. Their old really good maps. Just because the earlier beatdowns they sort of received. So yeah, just a lot of so I think 5 suboptimal pick bans over the course of 2017. So that's super concerning. I think this is just a small portion of why Virtus.pro has been underperforming at these last 2 tournaments. I actually don't think the pick and ban phase had anything to do with IEM Katowice, like I said. But yeah, just maybe a wrinkle in their underperformance recently, or why they can underperform over time. Okay, thanks.